not the greatest, but fair. So I would recommend using this for like when somebody's near the wall and trying to get up. This might be something to whip out more than this. Like this is more for like closing the distance kind of thing. But I've tried to use this one towards the wall, and this one usually hits, and this one you usually miss, and they end up behind your character, and that's not a place you want to be. So, and then you got your wall running 3, also low crushes. So basically any of her forward 3 moves, her forward 3, her forward 3, and her wall running 3, pretty much all low crush. So definitely take advantage of your forward 3 moves. You also have her wall rising 1/1. Really good, 21 damage. Another good, and then her last good poke is going to be while crouched, you hit down forward and then 4. It's pretty decent damage. It doesn't look like it's super punishable. It might be though, depending on how the animation is for when it gets blocked. But even if it is, this still has some pretty decent range. Obviously not great, but it's there. So that's pretty much all of her pokes and a couple little strings that you might be able to use. The next bit we're going to talk about is her stance. It's just a quick little stance, just forward 4. This is her Harrier stance. She technically has 6 moves out of this, but one of them is her Rage Drive, so we're not going to talk about that just yet. We're just going to talk about her stance from her moves from her stance. She has her stance 1. That's forward 4, and then you just hit 1. This is really, really good. It's just a quick little poke. Not too much damage. But this is really good for poking, carrying on a combo and stuff like that. You have her forward 4-2. This is really good for when your opponent is blocking, force crouches. This next move is very situational, and this is a move I would be very, very careful with. But you have her Harrier 3. The only problem I have with this is if an advanced Katarina player sees you using this, they're gonna know what you're doing. So be very careful using this. But this does do a fair amount of damage. This will probably be one of your go-to lows as far as damage. And then you have her forward 4-4, or Harrier stance 4. That's all of her basic attacks in her stance, and she has her up forward 3 out of this. It's the same exact move as her forward 3, but it's coming out of her Harrier. This is a move to maybe whip out every now and again against somebody who knows Katarina pretty well, because when they see you in the air, they're going to think to duck for that low. So this will definitely be something to whip out. I mean, really, this has only been blocked on me a couple times, and that's been very rare, usually when somebody's trying to get up. But that's really it. And then you have this one. So now let's talk about her moves into her stances. Let's see. I'm all the way. Oh, I'm actually further down than I need to be. Right, so let's talk about her moves that put her into stances. I think she's only got like 6 moves, maybe. I'm not really sure, but we'll get into it. So she has her 1-1 forward. Simple. Simple little way to get into her stance. It has its use. I don't really use this too often. I usually use different ones, but they're here if you decide you like them. Then she has her 4-4-4 forward to get into her Harrier stance. She has her down forward, 1-1 forward. This is one that I would feel safer using before the 1-1 forward. But again, that's up to you. I still use all of her ways to get into her stances, but I feel like that is a little bit less safe than this. As far as hitboxes are concerned. You have her back 1 forward. It's really decent. This is my main way to use way to use it to get into her stance. So back 1, also from down 2, just because it works. The only problem with this is the range is really crappy. So keep in mind, range not great. Then you also have her down 2 and forward. Nothing major. This is probably, aside from her 4-4 moves, this probably does the most damage out of all her other moves that put her into Harrier. So there's that. So then there's the up forward, 4-4-4 forward. And then there's wall rising, 1-1 forward. This is actually really useful. Mostly because after somebody does something that makes you force crouch, or when you do end up doing something that puts you in a crouch, this is a nice little string that gets you out of it fairly safely. So it works. So that's really it as far as what I was. Sorry about that. Freaking somebody was interrupting. So let's see. So that was her. So we did her pokes, her moves in her stances, and then we did her moves going into her stances, for easy access into her stances. So, let's go ahead and talk about her counter launchers. I think would be best. So, and what a counter launcher is, if you don't already know, is a move that you can use that you can use and you can continue hurting them from airborne status. So the thing about the first one obviously is your Magic 4. That's what I'm used to calling as Magic 4. It's just a quick little move. This one is kind of tricky though, because you gotta really commit to it. You do your 4-4-4, and that's how you would continue the combo. But that's really all you can do, because she gets taken back. She gets knocked back so far. But you can still use it to continue a combo. So that's kind of like tricky, you know. So you gotta commit to if you wanna use that as a combo, or not. You don't really. If you're at a wall, it might work out better. But that's probably the only case. Another counter launcher is her down forward 4. It's a really good counter launcher. Like I said before, the range. Well, I don't think I mentioned the range, but the range isn't the greatest, obviously, because it's a knee attack. But it's not bad. I definitely whip this out as a normal poke every now and again. Just because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You also have her down 2. It's a really good poke, or counter launcher. It's a really good counter launcher. And before I mentioned her back 4 1+2. The reason I mentioned back 4 by itself is because back 4 also is a counter launch. So that was a big thing. And also, this move is kind of one of the moves you also have to commit to, because you can't delay the back 4 and then 1+2, unfortunately. So you kind of have to decide. Me personally, I'll try it once or twice, whatever, and then if it doesn't work, then I'll stop trying for a little bit to kind of like get in people's skin. So that's kind of like iffy. So you may or may not end up actually using it, depending on who you are. And then this one is probably my main go-to counter launcher. And when I say man, I mean it's not really one I mean to do all the time, but it ends up working out for me the most, which is her forward 4-3. It's really good for picking up for if it gets countered. So there's that. And then obviously she has her in Harrier stance up 4-3 is the same thing. So that's definitely something. And that's pretty much all of her counter launchers. So let's go into our launchers. And that should be about it. So one of her launchers is actually an extension to her 1-1s, which is her 1-1-4. The only problem I have with this is that it's punishable and it's not natural. So you gotta be really careful using it. But it is there, and it has worked out for me a couple times. So I'd be remiss, or it'd be a bad thing if I didn't mention it after it's worked out for me a couple times. Then she has her down back 4. It's probably going to be one of your main launchers. It's about as safe as Brian's Snake Edge, and about as seeable. So it's kind of one of them things, use it at your own risk, but you're probably still going to end up using it a lot.